Welcome to the Feel Good Always podcast. I'm Becky Bradley, and this is real stories of love, connection, and remembering who we are. I'm here with Andrea Spacek.
Hello, hello.
So glad you're here. Andrea's very, very close friend. It's surreal that we're here together. I want to say for anyone that's listening, they're about to hear some powerful, we could feel the energy. It's powerful what's going to come through today. Not only in words, but in energy and frequency. The thing that I keep getting is only love is real, not fear. You know, we are being asked today to share in a way that may feel vulnerable, may feel that there's pushback for sharing the truth of our experience. We've set an intention here to share everything that needs to be shared for the good of the highest good of all, you know, and I'm just really grateful to be here doing this with you. And I've felt the energy coming in since I started this podcast, that you would of course be on this podcast because you're such a big part of my journey. And I didn't know when, and here we are. It's powerful. Do you feel it?
Isn't it the best?
It is the best.
It's such a joy.
And one of the things I love about you is that you say things like that. Isn't this the best? Aren't we so lucky to be in a body? Is what I've heard you say before. And sometimes it doesn't feel like I want to be in a body, but you help me remember that I'm here to experience fully this full human experience, the hard and the good and all of it. And that we chose to come down here and experience this in a body. Aren't we grateful to be in a body? So I'm going to just start off by reading a bio for you that literally brings me to tears when I read it. I wrote it, but I didn't. And when I say I didn't, it's because the words pour out of me and then I read them and I cry because of the strength and the power and the truth that are in these words that are coming through me. They're coming through me that are truth for you. And here I go.
Thank you.
Andrea Spacek is a priestess, visionary, alchemist, and shadow worker who has devoted her life to walking the labyrinth of the great mystery. She lives unapologetically with the energy that has come through her, an energy that reveals truth, guides awakening, and calls her to stand tall in the face of challenge and in the face of criticism. To those around her, is not defined by labels, yogi, mystic, priestess, but by the way she embodies vulnerability, authenticity, and the courage to feel it all. She is a mother to JJ, Wyatt, and her dog Piper. She is a friend and a teacher whose presence creates space for others to find themselves in all that they experience. I want to say that again. She is a teacher whose presence creates space for others to find themselves in all that they experience. Andrea has been asked to hold light for many, and her work goes beyond any yoga studio, because you do own a couple, any title, any identity. She is here for something big, something much bigger than any title. The collective awakening, the unfolding on this planet, the Great Awakening. Her willingness to stand in truth and mirror those walking beside her and embrace both knowing and unknowing makes her a rare and beautiful guide on the path to sacred union. Wow. Holy.
Holy, holy, holy.
When I wrote that literally this morning, I was like, that is it. It's this mirrored experience. When we allow other people to have their experience, that is the greatest teacher of all. We can walk side by side together in this journey and feel all of the things that we are going to feel and allow people to find what they need to find, because it is inside of us. And that is what you have done for me. It's what you've modeled and what you've mirrored for me, and what you do for so many, and it's so powerful and so beautiful. I would like to start, I think that as we start this conversation, most people that I have brought onto this podcast are connected to me. That is where the Feel Good Always podcast, you know, there's all these things if you look on how to start a podcast. And my team of helpers, Keira and my higher self, God, they're like You're not doing it. You're not doing it the way that it's been done. That's not what's happening here. You're supposed to like find people with thousands of followers. I could do that, but that's not what I'm doing. These are people that are, just real people. Not that people with thousands of followers aren't, but it's not like we're influencers or anything else. It's people that have found their way to me so that I can share the story of the Great Awakening, which is happening one by one. And you're the 8th episode, and there's a line of people after you, and more are coming. Some I haven't met yet, many that I haven't met yet.
Isn't that exciting?
Very exciting, and it's very beautiful. So we are telling a story, and this story is real. And it's an unfolding in this Great Awakening that I have experienced, this deep connection to everything and everyone. I can feel it deeply in my body right now, and I'm sure people that are listening can feel it. But I have to take us back to when we met, because all of these people that have found me to share their story here so that it can help spread this energy and this frequency and this beautiful, beautiful truth that is happening no matter what, it is done. I keep saying it is done. When I say it is done, I mean that we have already done it. We have already gone into this I experience a higher level of consciousness that is just there, only love is real. And so you and I, we met years ago in yoga. You were a yoga teacher, see each other here and there. Around COVID, we would maybe talk outside of yoga. We definitely connected, but we weren't close friends, kind of acquaintances. You ended up spur of the moment adding on to a Tahoe trip that I did, which I never do. I don't really do girls trips. That's actually something I just started recently, only because of the work we're doing here. But you added on to a trip, and somebody said, "Can I bring Andrea?" And I said, "Sure." And that's that like little beginning of what ends up happening with you and I, and our friendship moving into this different space. That was always going to happen. I can clearly see today the work. We were meant to come together. We were sent for each other, because it's hard. It is very hard what we are doing, but we get to do it together. So we go to Tahoe, and then I invite you the next year. And so in 2022, there were 4 or 5 of us. We were together at night, and you began to share a story. And I'll let you talk. You don't have to tell the whole thing, just like a piece of it. But this was on February 22nd, 2022, Sedona. And you shared this story because it's really what I felt from you sharing the story. To be honest, I don't even totally remember the story.
Yeah, because the story is kind of irrelevant. It was more of the activation that happened in me sharing the frequency behind it, and which is what's important about it. So the long and the short of it is I started having visions and memories of my time in Egypt in past lives as a temple priestess with Isis. And I did not know anything about Egypt except what I learned in 5th grade. But so I was called to go. Stefano was doing, he's someone who channels, remembers, has active, very specific memories of many, many lifetimes on this planet and beyond, and is able to articulate it. And I remember hearing him during COVID, coming across him and being like, wow, this guy is able to speak something that is only lived inside of me. Like I had flashes, but I didn't know where to put them in a timeline or what it was. So Egypt started coming in, and I just was like, I heard he was going to be in Egypt in the pyramids on 222. I think I forgot a 2. February 22nd, 2022.
A lot of twos.
And 22 is a big number that at that time I wasn't really aware of. And so I just knew, I was like, I need to go to Egypt. At the time, my kids were really little. I didn't really have much money. It was kind of felt a little impossible. So I ended up meeting with a friend, and I was pitching it to her, my friend Shelly. And by the end of the conversation, she's like, why don't we just go to Sedona? She has a couple places there. That's how it ended up in Sedona for 222. And that is a very long rabbit hole of a story I'm not going to get into right now.
Because we have so many other rabbit
But
holes.
because it's just one after the other. But all I have to say is a lot happened there. And I was brought back to previous lifetimes and memories. And when I was in Tahoe, when I say they, I'm talking about my guides, told me to share. And there was some interest from the group that was there to share. And it felt like they're not going to know what I'm talking about, because at that time, I didn't have a Becky. I didn't have people in my everyday life that I could talk to about all the things that were going on and where I was going. And that really started to amp up. Like, it's been my whole life, but during COVID, I really started going out there and I started meditating a lot. And I started just talking to the stars and different galaxies. And I didn't really have anyone to talk to. And so sharing it was just like, okay. And everyone was kind of like, yeah, but I felt, I didn't feel judged. I felt like received, but also I was like, okay, well, I don't know what, they're going to do with that, but good night, And that's when, if you want to share what happened for you.
So exactly. I was like, okay. I don't know what
I was like, my soul, I was in a sarcophagus and I saw my soul enter into a whale, and then it flew into, it swam into the ocean. Then I realized that Sedona used to be an ocean. Like, there was this whole, it went on.
Yes, I don't remember the details, but we are on the Feel Good Always podcast, and I remember the feeling.
And I'm laughing, but it's true. Like, that's all true. It's like not a joke to me, but I'm just laughing at the
Well, what it is you stood in your courage and you listened to, had a team of multidimensional beings that were helping you to tell you. If I'm thinking from my perspective, Becky Bradley, who later has her daughter die, transition, I start having these massive things happen. It was a breadcrumb for me in that experience, because I remembered the way that it made me feel. So
I just put something together.
Go ahead.
Well, because when you reached out to me, I was about to head to Egypt for my first time.
Yes.
I just got chills.
Yes. It's all connected.
Yeah.
So I'll tie that back in for everybody that's listening. So what happened that night, so I am somebody who has experienced anxiety. I have gone to bed full of fear. I have worked on my fear over and over and over through many practices. So what I want to say, that night, I remember first of all, I was like, I wasn't judging you. And so I'm glad you felt that you weren't judged, but I did not know what the heck you were talking about. And I felt uncomfortable with the feeling of, it was a energy that now I could put words to it. At the time I couldn't, but I remember laying in bed that night and I couldn't sleep. And I felt it felt like I felt kind of anxious, and I thought, this is not anxiety. What is this? Because it was the frequency. It was what you were speaking truth, and the energy of your words were coming through. And I was feeling this feeling that felt really a little frightening. And I remember leaving with Natalie, who was on the podcast a few times ago, and telling her, I love Andrea. I love her. And I believe what she was saying is true for her, but it made me really uncomfortable. And it wasn't like I was talking bad about you. I was just sharing because I was confused by it. So the reason I share that is that after Keira dies, I start having a massive, massive amount of what I say is like merged consciousness, where I will think something and somebody will literally send me a message about it immediately. I will think something, it will appear on a sign, and it doesn't stop at that. I will think, oh, I need to go look at this video. It's a video of Keira. I look at the video, and then the second later, Lila walks in wearing the same outfit that Keira has on in the video. It goes on and on and on, which was confusing. And I got the courage after I would tell a few people at first. There was a massive amount of stuff happening. And then it was like, Keira was like, okay, go tell grandma. And then it was like, go tell the magical moms, which is like Quinn's mom. And so I would tell them, but they kind of looked at me with that face of like, what,
Yeah.
And So I remember it was about a year ago. And what happened is I had this awareness that what had happened in Tahoe when you were speaking of Sedona, the feeling that I had in my body, I was now doing that to other people. I was saying things that maybe because I could see it in them. They could feel the energy of my words and their soul knew what I was saying was true. And that was the indicator right then to reach out to you because, this is 9 months after Keira dies. And you definitely connected with me a little bit. I remember right after her service, but you weren't one of the people that came right in. And you've shared about why you didn't do that. Yes? You were saying you just felt like you didn't need to. You weren't supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, there's different layers to it, but it wasn't the right. I didn't have that. It was kind of from my head thinking, oh, I should bring her food or do something. It wasn't like true. It wasn't, and I was like, I need it to be a true calling because of the space that I, was going to be entering for me. Like, to feel like trust the right time for you to enter into this.
And I'm so glad you did because you weren't there so that when you did come in, so I reach out to you because at this point, I kind of know when I get a feeling that the next person is coming in because I have said Keira was sending all the people. I knew it. So once you come in, I think I sent you a text and said, I think we're supposed to meet up. Like I have some stuff happening and you and I, well, what's interesting is so much stuff happens. And this is how I get confirmation in the physical world is that Keira had sent everything purple. It was like, even the backdrop here, no coincidences. I mean, we didn't do this on purpose. It's just already set up. And I arrive at your house because we're going to hike and you've moved from the place I had known you were before. And your house is literally
Which was a purple shed too.
Yeah, of course you did.
Yeah.
Of course you did.
And then I moved into a purple house.
And your house is bright purple, like the whole house. And it's like gigantic purple house. And I was like, of course, her house is purple. And so we go and we talk and I share with you some of these things that are happening and you just validate. You're like, yep, because you knew. And I was grateful because I felt like, okay, I have somebody that seems to understand and it doesn't seem like a big deal to them. And you weren't looking at me with the fear of my grief because that was happening a lot too. When I was sharing these stories with people, I would feel their energy of them looking back at me like, your daughter's dead. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
But like I could feel it and I had to because what I was feeling was this deep connection to her and society was like, your life is over. Yeah. Maybe they weren't saying it, but I felt it. And so I was really searching for people that understood what was happening so I could understand it. And so we leave there and you say, I'm going on a sacred journey to Egypt. I'm like, okay. And it kind of that is when both of so you catapult into this higher level of awareness and I do too. And of course, I get the message to reach out to you a week before. So you go off to Egypt and I simultaneously go off and I go to two different things. One was a helping parents heal. It's like a bunch of mediums. That was one weekend. And then the next one was a mom-child reunion where we worked on like meditation and connection. So these two really powerful.
Were you with Josiah's mom?
That's where I met Josiah's mom.
Okay. So I was in Egypt at the time.
Okay. So we're going to talk about Josiah because he has been really Josiah. We will talk about Josiah in a minute. But what happened is in those times I started having the synchronicities, the signs, it started to speed up really fast. And it went, so before I was getting a lot of stuff and right then, so both of us at that time, and we're talking, it's almost a year to the date of right now. And so.
Wow, that is so wild.
Yeah.
To me, it hasn't even been a year.
It hasn't been a year and it feels like lifetimes have happened in the last year. It's not it feels very divinely orchestrated that you're coming in because they're asking me to share the story of what happened. And they're asking me, when I say they, I say, I'm talking about Josiah, I'm talking about Keira, I'm talking about the people that will come on the podcast and share the experience that I've had, not just that I am connecting on the other side, because that is true. I can hear not only on the other side, I can connect with higher selves of people here embodied in a body. But what they've done is taught me, I'm embodying what we've read about for years. So I'm actually experiencing these things in a human body. I'm not reading about them in a book. I'm experiencing it in the physical world. And we're going to start sharing. That's where we're going to start. So
yeah, and one of the challenges for the way I experience things is that timelines get really blurry. So I can hop around a little bit sometimes when I'm talking, just as like almost as a heads up. But also there's so many what I don't remember clearly is the timing, but it was around when you started connecting with me. And actually, for me, I feel like Keira came ahead of you to connect us together. And I had reached out to you, I don't know how long after. It was around her service.
yeah.
About like she wanted me to reach out to you to send that card.
Yeah, the Heart of Source.
Which I pulled today as well. And it was very vulnerable for me because I'm like, she might be like, get out of my face with this card. Like, I'm not, and like, I didn't know what was going to come out, and you understand, like, there is just a high sensitivity to like not understanding fully what state you were in and relationship with it. But I just was like, I'm supposed to do this. And it was so powerful because Keira came blasting through like so clearly. Mm-hmm. And when I pulled and I asked her, essentially, I asked the cards, like, can you tell your mom where you are right now? And she sent this card, Heart of Source. And it's this most beautiful, like, expanding spiral of light from the center of the universe where the seraphim live. And it was so clear how true it was. And it was like the best description I feel like she could have offered for exactly where she was. And you received it, and it was kind of like, I don't remember what you said, but
probably thank you. I don't actually really remember, to be honest, which is actually all part of it because I didn't remember. So the Heart of Source comes back in. And so you said seraphim, which I knew nothing about. So a lot of things I like to say, or I like to preface, this is stuff that I knew nothing about. Anything. Yeah. That's why when you spoke about it in Tahoe, I was like, I don't know what she's talking about.
And I'll say, I don't know anything about things before they happen either.
Yeah.
It's just, they give me the words and then I have the experience, and then it's kind of in reverse, like backwards. Then I'm like, oh, what is that? What is that? Like, so
seraphim. So say seraphim. What that is.
Seraphim are the highest angels, known as like the highest angels closest to God's source that there are. And they're they're above the archangels. They hold this position in the universe. That's the highest. So it's like holy fire is the best way I relate to it.
So you get this message about the seraphim. It came in from all directions. And this is how Keira teaches me, because you're telling me this. I have somebody in Sedona that's telling me this that's never met you. She is telling me this.
On the board.
On the board, which I have this board that comes in right when you're in Egypt. And when I say it, there's a board. So I'm already having all of these experiences. And then I go to this mom-child retreat and we do things like meditation to connect with your child on the other side. And we do, a medium came, and we do oracle cards like you're talking, pull in the Heart of Source. And so they're giving us all these things. And one of them is this board that has a pendulum, and it's got letters on it, and it spells things out. So we try this thing at the board, and I think I actually had COVID while I was there. I was pretty sick. All of it's kind of a blur. Yeah. And she sold 3 of the boards and I didn't buy one. And at the end of the retreat, a woman came up to me and said, I keep going to bed every night and I hear I'm supposed to give this to you. And she hands me this board. And I'm like, okay. I put it in my bag with my crystals and my oracle cards. And I'm just like, First of all, I can't believe this is my life, that I've been asked to come to a retreat where mothers are, that their children have died. I mean, it is such a duality of, I'm learning she's still here. She's showing me that. I know she's brought me here. And what is my life? So I'm very deep in this. I was kind of in the grief world. I was coming out of it, though. And right at this time, when you're in Egypt, I get the board. And that board is really what Keira was able to use for a period of time to teach me directly, because I take it home and I start using it with Maddie, my daughter Maddie, and she starts saying, and at first you're like, is this me? It's like spelling stuff out. It's confusing. I mean, is this real? Like, I just couldn't believe the stuff that was coming through. And it was her personality. And then immediately within like 10 minutes, my son calls Tyler, and I say, or I think I called him. I was like, your sister, and we've all had massive experiences leading up to this point. This is not the first thing. So it's like this thing with spirit. And I believe that if you are listening, you're going to start having, if you're not already, you're going to start having massive experiences. And that's why you're listening. And so that's why I'm sharing all of this. So we've already had massive experiences, but it just like keeps adding it. And so I get him on the phone. Tyler goes, ask her who sent me a Snapchat earlier today. And I said the name, and he's like, oh my gosh, that's it. And he goes, okay, I have another question. I said, don't tell me. I said, let me see if she just knows. And she spelled out the word Tony. And I said, is it Tony? And he's like, holy shit. Because what had happened, Tony had just had a baby, had lost a pregnancy, and literally like that day. And that's who Tyler was thinking about. And she spelled out his name, Tony. And so it went on and on and on. And I will begin to share how this board comes in to reveal massive things. It was a tool. I don't need it today, because she's like, everything is inside. And it has accelerated my ability to connect to everything and everyone. But that board was an integral part. And it was how she was able to tell me that she sent you to me. And it's how Josiah comes in. And I think we now I want to talk about Josiah. So Josiah, so I go to that retreat, and there's all these mothers, which I'm sure many of them are going to end up on this podcast, because they're connected to me. Yeah. So Josiah's mom is Raina. Raina's actually scheduled to be on the podcast before I even the next podcast, before I even knew that we were going to talk about Josiah here. I've already scheduled his mom. And then in the last few days, he made it very clear to me that I was going to have this conversation with you. And here we go. Okay. So I just listen, and he's like, we're doing it. And they woke me up this morning, and they took me down a memory lane. Remember what's happened. And so Josiah is Raina's son. Powerful, beautiful energy. And Raina and I connect at the retreat, and she hands me this book. It's because of Josiah, and those people that are watching, I'm holding the book because of Josiah, and I will link to this book. But Josiah used this book to teach me about what I have inside of me. It was very, very powerful what happened with this book and with Josiah. And I had already had multiple kids. Josiah is not a kid, but I had other, like, people that have children on the other side that died before, in their teens or younger, that they were coming in. I had all these like kids, but Josiah specifically, he starts coming in as you and we are having lots of synchronicities. I call you while you're in Egypt, and I'm like, I literally feel like I'm in another world, and it's very strange. And you explained to me what was happening. Do
you want me to share about that?
Yeah, I'd love to, because Josiah's, and we're going to come back to Josiah, but yes, that whole thing. Yeah. It's kind of like we go over here, and then we go back, and we go over here, but it will all tie together. So I call you guys. I'm just like, how do I balance what my life used to be and what it is now? And now I'm literally like, feel like I've blasted out into the ethers, and I don't like, you are the first person that I really felt like understood what was happening. And you just met me right where I was at, and you told me the things and I still was confused So I called you while you were in Egypt. Do you remember?
I remember, I thought I see, this is where I don't remember. I
Yeah.
thought I reached out to you because there was something very
You could have.
powerful that happened on the boat on the Nile, but it was related to, I was getting downloads. My trip to Egypt was very much like the Galactic Council of Light.
Which I have no idea. You start talking about the Galactic Council of Light, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's a group of ambassadors from all different galaxies and planets that are a federation, that they're here to,
I could feel them.
yeah. they're all around us, and they're here to, really, they're guardians of the planet. It's like the UN, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the UN. That's the best way, for the universe. And so, and they send people, I've been shown that I'm an ambassador for them to this planet, but I also go to different ones. And it's just like helping to stay in touch, keep peace around, harmonize, energies around the different galaxies, and also to send the frequency, keep sending the frequency of what I would best describe as love,
yeah.
Through my version of a human, which is Andrea. And so I've been living with that for a long time. But also when I went to Egypt, it literally was, I heard, please report to Egypt. And it was from the Federation. And so I'm like, okay, like, this is, people think I'm going on vacation when I do this stuff. I'm like, no, there's a mission. There's always a mission,
Yeah.
And it's very clear, and I don't know what's going to happen. So I got there, and what was so amazing, one of the most amazing parts, was that I ended up in a group of people who actually, for the most part, they understood what the hell that meant. And it got brought up, that we were asked to be there by the Federation, and we were asked to be there also by, there's a large component of the children of the world, like joining forces, particularly the rainbow children, which I call them, on the other side, who chose to leave here, for being one of them, chose to leave to be of service at a higher level, to work in these higher realms. Okay. So they worked together, and they started coming through when you came in and Keira came in. A number of them started coming through the board for me too, and through different signs.
So Josiah was coming
and they
through.
were people that were not just like, I knew them on some level. Josiah was probably the most removed, but then he came to me to be someone I actually know through you and that book, but I never met him in real life.
So the Galactic, I want to get back to the Galactic.
Yeah.
So I want to say this. So you tell me.
Because the message was,
yeah,
I think I sent you a message.
Yes.
I'm like, I want to talk to you about something, because I'm getting really clear signs that I wanted you to ask the board. I'm getting really clear signs that Keira's on this part of this federation.
You said Keira sits on the Galactic Federation of Light.
Yes, I did say that. I said, I think we need to talk.
And so, here you've got Becky Bradley that is.
And you're like, sure.
That is not, I wasn't even sure if
sorry,
I
you're
believed
so
in God.
amazing.
No,
Yeah.
But I want to say this about you telling me about the Galactic Federation of Light. I had never heard of this before. And this is what happens in how Keira teaches me. Because you said it, Mark Cohn in Sedona said it, and I was reading about it in a book, all within a 24-hour period. Mark Cohn said, Keira sits on the Galactic Federation of Light. You two don't know each other. So these are the things where I'm like, wait. And then I get on the board, I ask Keira, and that pendulum spins and it's just like flying. And I was like, and I'm trying to make sense of what is happening here. So, I'm still all I know is what it feels like in my body.
That's all we ever
That's what I know. And it feels massive and beautiful. So,
which brings me back to She Feels She Knows card 22.
Yes.
Which was one of my first confirmations when I met my star family during a ceremony. And I needed confirmation, because I was like, how do I know this is real? How do I know if I'm making this up? Like, it felt very real. And I pulled that She Who Feels Knows. And it was
number
22. And 22 is related to the constellation Pleiades. And it's related to Magdalene. It's related to a lot of things. It's also my gene key number of what I'm here to learn, 22, grace. And there's so much to 22. But on the boat, I don't know if it was the night after I talked to you or what, but I was on a boat on the Nile. And we did this Stephen Greer calling in, galactic friends on the back of the boat. And I had a very powerful experience of this, what I would consider, it wasn't just my family. It was actually what felt like a lover, a beloved star being that came down and connected with me. And I had all these flashes of memories of many lifetimes and tears and just like, oh my God, where have you been? Because I've lived my whole life looking for this being, essentially.
Feels like you've been searching for this soulmate that you feel
Yeah.
you felt that connection on the back of the Nile.
Right. And
but you had also asked Keira, didn't you ask?
That was later. So I had that experience and like literally viscerally feeling what it means to really be connected again. And it was like a memory of an agreement that I was going to come back this time and they weren't, and we'd meet again kind of thing. But, like it was a letting go of like, be on the earth essentially. Like that's always my message, like just be here.
Yeah.
You're going to go back eventually, we're going to all meet again. But like to be here has been the challenge for me because, so I prayed to Keira, who I was really communicating with a lot at the time. And I said, can you please send me my beloved here? Like I went to meet them here. And that it was our last night there. And I was standing outside with a group of people. And all of a sudden I felt this very strong presence of a man standing right behind me. And I just saw he had like this cape on. And I was like, does anyone else feel that? And my friend Kelly Heather was there too.
Heather that was on the podcast last week.
Yeah, she was there too. But Kelly, who I just was in France with last week, she was like, I do feel that. And like she was getting full body chills. And I'm like, yeah, there's a presence here. Can we all tune in for a moment and just see what it is? Because I couldn't tell like what it was. I just felt like I'm like, oh my God, I asked her to send me my beloved down so I could feel them like in this. And I knew that's what it was. And I didn't know who it was or, I didn't know anything more, but I just was like, thank you. So flash forward.
You could see though you saw something too. Like it looked like there was
I could see like in my mind's eye, it was like, I felt it. Yeah. It was almost like I could touch. But when I drew it in my journal and it was like a caped person about, a certain height and, it'll connect with that.
So what happens? Okay. So then you and then you encourage me. So I have all these kids coming in, kids, and Josiah is coming in, and Josiah is coming in through the board, trying to teach me about his energy, and you can feel my energy. And I'm just to the left of you spelling this word for word out. And you have asked me at this point to go to Joshua Tree with you and two people that you had met in Egypt. And I had said no. I say no a lot.
It's like, that's funny. I see you there.
Yeah, you do that to me a lot. I see you there.
I see you there.
I think you're there. And this is what I keep saying. It doesn't feel like my idea. So I'm like, no, I'm not going. I'm not going because I am somebody that doesn't really leave my family. And that is what's been different in this last year. I have been all over the place. Like you said, I get called places and I am Joshua Tree. Those first couple retreats, I went without my family, and then Joshua Tree ends up because I get a deep knowing I am supposed to go to Joshua Tree, even though I am going, like, if you think on a human level about what I'm done, I'm going with you, and I'm going with two women, Amity and Anne, that I haven't met yet, and I am still deeply, deeply in grief.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like not even a year.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay in the present moment, but I'm like, it's definitely not a vacation. I would never, But
This was
Keira, it was in
right?
November, and Keira was like, go. I could hear like I'm supposed to go. And like kind of last minute, I decide to go. And that's when Josiah starts bringing in music. So he was like, we can connect to you through sound. And he was teaching me all about sound and bees. And really what's happened over this long time is that I have been taught about the connection to everything, one thing at a time. But that was sound. So we go to the Integratron. There's no spot for me. Okay. So Josiah tells me I will be there. You will see me in the Integratron, which is this building out in the, well, you can tell what the Integratron is. Or would you like me to?
The Integratron was built in, I believe it was like early 70s, late 60s. And it's on a vortex. It's in the middle of the desert. And it was channeled through this man who, he was like, we can't use any nails. It's all going to be just wood locked, pieces, but it's a dome made out of wood. And it was channeled, he said, from Jesus, from the planet Venus.
Yeah.
And it was meant to hold higher frequencies of sound for the purposes of communicating, which was a vision that I was shown years before, that I'm supposed to build this geodesic dome in the desert. And it was like Jesus and Magdalene. And then it was for the purpose of communicating with, other beings.
And then we end up going to the.
So I heard about the Integratron. I don't remember how. And then we all were reading this book, and it was in there, the Book of Ra. And so it's like all the layers. It's always how it works. It's like all these pieces come in. So it's like, I'm supposed to go there. And then we get all this information about it. And when we were there, learned that it actually never got even finished, but they hold sound baths in it. And it's extremely powerful, I think, to experience, like the way sound moves in there. It just bounces around.
Well, they came in, and Josiah was trying to teach me, he was trying to teach me that we can connect to you. They can connect to us anytime, but like for me to feel it. But you are reminding me about the Book of Ra, which I will talk about later. But that books have been continuously this way of like, what the heck? So I'm sitting there in my morning routine. This is before I go to the Integratron. I've never heard of it before. And I want to tell my friend Samia that I'm going. I haven't even told her. We talk every day. Her daughter, Mesa, is definitely one of my guides, helping me from the other side. And so much is happening so fast that even though we talk every day, I haven't told her that I'm going. So I go on the website of the Integratron to see, so I could explain it to her. And it says, somebody Van something, I don't know what his name is, built it in the desert he got it from the Venetians. So word for word, I read it. And then literally 60 seconds later, I pick up my book, the Book of Ra. It's earmarked to a certain page, and I start reading it because that's what I'm doing next. Has nothing to do with the Integratron. And
but of course it does.
Yeah. And the next paragraph that I read says, whatever his name is, Van, built in the desert. It starts talking about the Integratron. So here I am. This is those examples of merged consciousness where I have a thought, I send it out to Samia, I pick up the book, and there it is. So that happens, and I am blown away. I can't even, now it happens so much all the time.
Yeah.
Like
constant.
Every day. But I was blown away. So I end up going to the Integratron, and Josiah is definitely coming in just like he is in the last few days. He's very present, and he starts coming in and kind of trying to teach me. And not only Josiah, but you talked about like the rainbow warriors. Like we had this whole experience while we were in Joshua Tree, which is just teaching us, showing us what we're doing, kind of putting together this puzzle and giving us the pieces. And so we're sitting there that night, and I have brought this book because of Josiah is the name of the book that his mother wrote, because what on the board, Josiah was like, read my book.
Yeah, he was coming in hot.
Oh my God. If I go back this morning, they had me go look at these because I have hundreds of pages of, I call them transmissions because they're things that they spell out word for word. And during this time, like November of last year, he was like, read my book. And so I brought it with me. And this is what, and I have the board with me, and we all had just like so much stuff happening in the Integratron. Amity, she has an experience with all of the beings that were there that she has never met. I haven't talked about it.
Seraphim.
She's from the Seraphim. I heard very clearly that I needed to tell her, you're from the Seraphim. I mean, I'm talking about things I don't even know about. We sit down, I meet Amity, I'm staring at her. We're at the ocean, and behind her is a ship with a giant number 22 on it, which Keira sends 22, and so does Josiah. Josiah transitioned on 1022. It's his number. The book has a ton of stories about Josiah and 22. And so, which is interesting about that 22, that was this big sign. When we went back 3 days later, it was gone. So we end up going that night, and I have my book on the table. We have the board. We're connecting. Like, stuff is happening. We're just in this beautiful energy of each other, knowing that we're doing big work, not, and it's hard because I feel sometimes like when I'm around people, I haven't met these other women yet. I'm just meeting them because they're, it's like, you have no idea what's happening here with me. And of course, we all get to know each other. But I bring out the book, and you grab the book and you start looking at it, and you want to explain what happened from there.
So everyone was trying the board out that night. It was like Amity was trying it. She was just seeing how it worked. And then like you had been using it on your own. And I was just kind of watching on the side. And I started getting, what was it? You were talking about Josiah, and he was coming in. I think he was already coming in on the board, and I was just kind of listening, doing something else. And I never heard how he transitioned. I never knew that story, but I was starting to feel this connection between him and someone that I was actually in the process of healing from, like a twin flame that, didn't work out. And so I was starting to get this, like, there's some weird way that they're connected. I don't know what it is. So I hear you say that he transitioned by a motorcycle accident, and my whole body lit up, like full body chills.
You actually asked me because you knew ahead of time.
Okay. So I asked you, how did he die?
Because you were getting the feeling that it was the same, and you asked me what happened.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You already, so I want to say that because I remember that you knew, you already knew, and then I confirmed for you, and you said, yeah, I was getting that.
So I was looking at his book when I asked that, because I remember I opened it up and it was about him and his girlfriend, who I would say like sounded like the love of his life, that, and how it ended. And it was just a little bit about it, and it felt very familiar. And I was like, this feels like me and this other person, like kind of a mirror. And that's when I asked, and I was like, how did he die? And the reason that my whole body went into chills is because this person that I was connected with, he had a near death experience on a motorcycle crash, and it was in the same town.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't the same year, but it was the same town. And I was like, okay, what are the fucking chances of this?
So what happens with this is that you realize that you're connected to Josiah.
Well, and then he asked to talk to me.
Yeah, he wanted to talk to you.
So I want you to tell that part.
Yeah. Well,
because I asked that, and then you're on the board, and
he's coming in. He's
like, tell Andrea I say hi.
Tell Andrea I say hi. He was going on, and I was like, I don't know, Josiah wants to talk to you. And at that point, you've actually looked at this picture, and you're like, that's what I saw.
Like the guy in the cape, because there's a picture of him in the cape.
There's a picture in your mind's eye, and you're like, that's who I saw, like a soulmate. And we're all just like, wait, what is happening? And then you asked about so then you also had the knowing about the motorcycle thing, and you felt some kind of connection to Josiah and this person that you weren't together with anymore, but you had this twin flame energy with that person. And so then, Josiah comes in. Oh my gosh, he is just, he's telling you, open your heart, and all of this stuff. And he's just basically telling you, he's trying to encourage you to stay here and be here. And I'm helping you and all of this beautiful energy. So we're like,
and confirmed, because I asked, like, was that you on the boat?
yeah.
And he said yes. And I was like, okay, are you serious? Like, how is this happening? It was a lot from even me. Like, I've had a lot of experiences, but that was really vulnerable to let in, because it's a vulnerable subject for me. And I'm like, really? Like, what are the chances that, like, how did you find me here? And how does this work? Like, I went into my head, like, how does this work?
And that's what happened for me. And they took it another level because of what happens later. And that is what was so powerful. So, and it had my mind blown, because I'm like, wait a second. She saw him on the Nile. She sees the same picture in the book. I just happened to meet his mom a week earlier. He starts coming to me and presenting me with all this beautiful confirmation. He's presenting you with beautiful confirmation.
And he lived in Joshua Tree.
That's a whole nother thing. And of course, we're headed to you're asking me to go to Joshua Tree. So there's like all these beautiful connections. And this was always going to happen. And then the thing that was really, really powerful for me is that, and I just was looking at it this morning. I'll see if I think I brought the exact transcription of what Josiah said to me, because he asked me to, I think it was Keira asked me, one of them said that you needed to find out where the person that you had been with previously, find out where his accident is at. You already had a trip planned to Santa Cruz, which is where Josiah's accident was on 10/22. Josiah is in an accident. And then you realize that this person that you had been dating, that you considered, but soulmate energy. Now Josiah's kind of coming in saying, I'm your soulmate, which is like, what? How did this person find you in meditation on the Nile? And now is coming to me, and there's all these wild connections. So then you have I
had already planned a trip for Thanksgiving celebration with my kids to Santa Cruz, which is like one of my favorite places.
So you were already going, which just adds more confirmation. So you're already going to Santa Cruz before you know any of this. On the board, they come in and they say, ask her to find out where his accident was. I didn't know I knew Josiah was in an accident in Santa Cruz, but they specifically pushed me to tell you to find out where it was and to go there when you were in Santa Cruz. So I have to tell you, and I'm feeling real strange about this. I'm like, they're saying that you need to go to where the accident was.
Yeah. It's funny. I thought it was the other, it doesn't matter, but I thought it was, I was like, can you ask his mom where it was? Because I had you reach out, because
they asked me also though.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you were getting it and I was getting it. And then I did ask his mom, and she gave me the specific area that it was.
And then I asked this other person, I reached out and I said, hey, I'm going. And because like that, we hadn't been in touch, but I did reach back out after that weekend, because I'm like, he's leading me back to you again. Like, why is this happening? I'm supposed to connect with, with him. And so it turns out it's literally the same spot.
Yes. Even just thinking of,
it's in a canyon it's not like in a main road. It's not that even matters, but it's like this windy canyon, and like literally he dropped a pin, and it was the same spot.
It's the same spot.
What is actually happening?
And this person that you were dating before had a near-death experience. So he was in this energy. These two souls, essentially, I'm just going to say it, what Josiah was showing me was how a soul can incarnate in two bodies at the same time. That his soul, because we have pieces of ourselves here. So I am Becky Bradley. I have a piece of myself, but my soul's so expansive that essentially that soul of this and Josiah, they were both like pieces of the same soul. At least that's what they, and then they had already told us that. And then let's just give you some confirmation, because they've already said, this is soulmate energy. This is the same soul. It felt the same way to you. And then to show us that it was real, they said, ask where the accident was. And then, of course, you have a trip planned to Santa Cruz, and the accident is in the exact same spot, except the near-death experience accident was years earlier. So Josiah is essentially alive in his body, walking around when the first accident happens, and then he ends up 6 years later transitioning in an accident. And I know that anybody that's listening, it's a lot what I just shared, because I experienced
because if you, it's not linear. Time isn't linear, and it's not like I can fully. I don't like literally understand it, but I also accept it as true, because there's most things that are true don't have actual words to put around them in a neat way, because our language is based on duality. So it's like either you're dead or you're alive. Either you're in 2018 or 2010. Like you can't be both, right? Like there's no room for that in our vernacular. And so we have to go into somewhere beyond. One of the things that I thought this was I was like, wow, how do I even explain this to, this person who is still alive, had the near death? And I didn't even have to, because when I called him about it, he was about to get on a plane and we didn't have a lot of time, but he was like, oh, you mean how like two souls can simultaneously exist at the same time on the earth? He's like, yeah, they showed me that when I was in that space. And I was like, okay, like it wasn't new information for him at all. And I was like, oh,
you knew this, though. You'd heard of it before, right? Or no?
No, I'd heard of walk-ins.
Okay, I remember
that. And I was like, is this a walk-in situation? I'm still not clear, but I don't fully understand it.
Yeah,
I don't.
Me neither. So
I just was like,
I
wow.
also want to add another part. When I get taught, so basically in this experience, I was taught about the soul through an actual full-on lived experience, through Josiah, who walked the earth, through this other person, through how you happen to be going to Santa Cruz. You physically went to the spot. This is not something that I learned about in a book. This is something that I learned about through this experience that I'm having here. And simultaneously, as all this is happening, I'm reading another book that's talking about this exact thing. So do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm reading I don't remember what book it was that is talking about this, and I'm seeing it on social media, something I've never heard about.
Right.
So they're teaching me this is real. We'll give you some confirmation. This is real. And this was one of those big ones. It's just like the Galactic Council of Light. I still don't really understand that, but it came in from all directions. And this happens with Josiah. And so, which there's so much more beyond that. That's a piece of this story that Josiah, Keira, the team wanted that part to be shared today, which, I mean, we're talking beginning of the amount of things that have happened, which I'd like to segue into, like you just spoke of, and beliefs, because I come here, I live here on earth, and what happened to me is that I was what I am experiencing, never in a million years would I have thought that this was possible. I knew about people connecting to mediums, other side, whatever, but that's not what this is. This is literally watching the world co-create around me and teach me through actual lived experience, through my body. I'm not just knowing things. I do know a lot of things through other people's higher selves coming in to connect to me, animals' higher selves. Everything kind of connects, and stories just like this, Josiah. And they taught me in the beginning through the board. They have literally masterly orchestrated this podcast. They keep saying to me, just trust. Trust, we're not doing it the way, because the Great Awakening is happening. And what I have experienced is that my body is capable of massive expansion than what I've been told, and so I've kind of had this idea of question everything my whole life, but to have this experience that I've had is mind-blowing. And I think that it was divinely planned. Like you said, Keira went ahead. I had lots of people telling me that Keira always was going to leave. That's why I knew it, because she was, and I had somebody tell me this. You're telling me this. Multiple people are telling me. They said she sits with the angels at the highest order so that she can channel through to you so that you can be a bridge to, and I'm like, what? that, like the first couple of times, and then it continued to be shown to me through lots of different experiences. It's not like I just trusted it right away. They had to build that trust through massive,
They'll
massive
keep sending you
experience.
more. Keep
And at
sending you
this point,
more.
I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm on a podcast with a microphone sharing stuff that for me is not just like I say it over and over. This is not, I'm not talking about being connected and knowing things. I am talking about the physical world. I mean, on the way over here, I saw 30 license plates. Like, it's the music hits right at this right time. The word on the music is the license plate. Everything is connecting. That can be very dizzying. The guys that are here at Live Action Music, you know, I had them coming in beforehand, seeing signs around them, and I can come in and say, do you feel the energy? And they do. And one of the things that Keira said to me was, you are going to help people when the change comes. And this is the very beginning. And I said, on the board, what is that? What's the change? All is coming. Be ready. I love you. That is what she said. And this is like a year ago, and she said, age you are at, which means like, and I'm like, what? I remember Maddie was there and it scared her. It's scary because you're like, wait, what do you mean all is coming? But what I started to experience was this level of connection to everything and everyone. And I was like, okay. Another thing that she said was, when I said, what do you do over there on the board? She spelled out, I help people vacate this world and you are my feet on the ground. Okay. I'm going to help people when they die. Maybe I'm going to be a death doula. I don't know. Well, I started to experience this high level things like this, what we just described, things like I have a thought, I open the book, it's right there in the book. Or I go to Trader Joe's and the person I was thinking about is there. And so I said, she's saying, I'm going to help people vacate this world in the sense of vacate the world as they know it.
Yeah.
Because that is what happened to me. My experience on this earth has been one way my whole life. And I was opened up, exponentially expanded into ever expanding levels of who I am and how I experience this world by really, I was always going to be in this position. I can look back and see it all. I could see the massive orchestration, but it was the stripping away of absolutely everything about myself with Keira that really opened me up to listen and to see that what is coming for everyone. And that is what she's saying. All is coming, the great awakening, the new earth, everything that has been talked about in spiritual texts, it is happening. And I am fully embodied and experiencing it. And when she says, you're going to need to help people when the change comes, even I was, talking right before when you could feel the energy feels a little scary. Not that it is scary, but it's so intense. It's so, like once you start, when you have a thought and you open the book and it's literally in the book that you just were thinking about, and that happens to you over and over, or you have mirrored experiences over and over.
Because you have to process it through the body. And I've been shown the same thing for years, is that my work with yoga is it's all about helping people's nervous systems be able to handle the mass amount of high frequency that is coming through.
Yeah.
And it's already started. I mean, all the solar flares and all the shifts, especially this past year, has really picked up speed.
This week.
And so I feel like, it's like you were asked to do it through speaking and sharing and at such a high level. And I was asked to do it through continuing, to reach people through yoga, and also to, they've also said, like, get together with groups of people, because we're so much stronger together, and we're able to co-regulate together. And I think, having lived through COVID, we were really shown that how important it is to be physically in contact with other people to feel that homeostasis that, all beings on earth are looking for naturally to reach. And so it's like gathering people in groups and taking them to these sites, because the energy vortexes and the ley lines or dragon currents that are running through the planet they're cracks into this new frequency. It's not new, it's the original frequency of the earth that has been held at bay until now, that they're starting to release. And so when you go to these places, you are able to get a kind of a voltage, kind of like a zoom of what it is, and you can acclimate, and then you go with a group to help and bring stuff up, and it's going to bring stuff up in your body. It's going to bring stuff up in your psyche, and you can do all of it alone, but it's so much better, and you can go so much further together. And that's, we're all called to play a different role. And I think like the message is just to listen for what it is for you and how you're being called to step up and to have the courage to show up. And once you do, you'll have more people that come in that can support you and hear you. And you're no longer feeling crazy, which is a word we try not to use anymore.
Say magical now.
Yeah, magical. Wow. Because, that people were made to feel crazy for speaking the truth, hearing the truth for so many thousands of years that we repressed it, and it's coming back online, and that can be scary. And so doing it together, is really important.
And that's why I believe like what has happened so massively through me is that I stand and I just say it and I watch myself. I remember feeling like
it's amazing, like to watch you do it.
It's coming through me. And when people are around me, I say, you feel it. What do you do? What do you do with that? Well, you feel it. It's an energy. I experienced the ultimate sacrifice, which opened me up to not discount the truth of what was happening. It is not that Keira died and I started seeking and started seeing everything. It brought me into this. I mean, as soon as it was immediate for all of us. It's not just me. My family lives in it. It's pretty normalized, the amount of stuff that happens, to us. It's good though. I mean, I know I'm safe and protected. And, you just talked about doing it together. So when she said you're going to need to help people, I am 100% positive this is coming for everyone. This beauty, this feel good always energy. It's why I can speak it and I can say it from the highest mountain. I don't care what you think because I experience it. And so I say it and people believe me because their souls know it's true. And they're all finding me through so that we can all do this work together and we're all finding each other. Maybe you didn't have that person, but so you are going to help people when the change comes. That means that like either they're listening to this, they hear it, they see a clip from me, or a lot of people that are directly connected to me that I text like one-on-one can share something with me and I can understand it because I have experience with it, especially how it feels in the body. That yes, that's normal. Like, isn't that amazing? And that it's coming for all of us. And this podcast will continue to like kind of tell that story of the truth of what's happening. And it's massive in this room that we're sitting here recording the podcast. It's like, I go back and listen and I'm like, who's talking? It's like, wow, that was beautiful because it's just pure truth. And so before we recorded here today, I got woke up at 2:30 in the morning. I just know, I trust, okay, you want me up? They wanted me in the frequency of what happened a year ago. Josiah, like I just kind of like spent some time looking through pictures from that time, sending them to you. And then we kind of have had this last week some themes of fear. It's not my fear. I don't live in fear. It is not real. I don't. Thank you, God. It is gone. And so, but I can experience the feeling of fear in the sense of like, oh, I feel that. I know it's not mine and I know it's not real, but what is it? And so I've had a lot of experiences this week around yin and yang and dark and light and hearing people talk about evil is coming in and all of this stuff. And it's not real to me. I'm like, that is a thought. That is the thoughts. The darkness is a thought. Not to say that we don't have polarities and shadow. But for me, as I sit before you in my white shirt, not planned, but I thought about it. Of course, I'm wearing white. I am protected. Mm-hmm. I am protected from everything. I am constantly shown on the way here, it was like, I've been seeing the word safe, safe, safe. And then I get like a message from Safe Credit Union. I know it means something. And they're just like, you're safe, you're protected. And all that means is that, I mean, we're all protected. I just know it's true. We are all protected. I just fully embody the truth that only love is real.
Yeah.
Only love is real. That's it. And you see it in me today.
That is it.
You see it in me today, and I embody it. And you can look, and I'm not like, oh, I'm amazing. I am amazing. I feel amazing, but it's nothing I did.
Yeah.
It's nothing I did. It was always coming. It's what our true nature is. It's who we are. It's who we are.
Well, it is what you did. It's how you show up. It's actually a choice again and again and again until it becomes just who you are and how you live, as far as like love over fear. But it is a practice and it is a choice and it is an action.
It is an action.
Because we are, I'm aware of people, certain challenges that have come to you, they've come to me. And I need to, and we've talked about sometimes, wow, this is like bringing up some stuff. Like, I wonder, it's obviously everything's a mirror and a lesson. It's not true. And that's the next step is like taking in. It's not that nothing's going to bother you anymore, but we're just owning that it's not bothering me because their wrongness, or it's about them. It's bothering me because they're mirroring something within myself that's still knocking around in there as like, some kind of belief. And, beliefs are only as strong as the power we give them. It's just a thought we keep thinking. So there's not actually any belief that's true. And I think that's the first thing to, I was having this phenomenal conversation with my son Jericho last night, who, oh my goodness, these children, I don't even.
And JJ,
they're just so
JJ.
next level. JJ. He's very, very special little one. I mean, they all are. But so he was, I have this little altar of Magdalene because I just went on a Magdalene journey to France, and she's been very present. And there's I have this picture I brought back of a depiction of Magdalene and Yeshua meditating together. And he doesn't really know much about her. And, and he was like, so, oh no, what he said was, he's like, wow, they really can go anywhere. And I was like, and I knew what he meant right away, but I just wanted to, and I was like, so yeah, kind of tell me more. Like, do you mean they can go anywhere on the planet or anywhere like in the universe? And he said, in the universe. And I was like, yeah. And he said, I said, do you think that they are stronger together in doing that? And he said, yes, definitely. And I was like, yeah, I think so too. And do you think that everyone has that potential to go anywhere in the universe? And he thought about it for a moment and he's like, smiled, and he said, yes. I was like, yeah, they do. And do you think that we're stronger together? And he said, yeah. And then he was asking, like, who is she? And I said, well, some people think this. There's different stories. This is what I think. And he said, I don't really have a religion. I think, he's like, my God is free. And I think all religions are good with me. And he did make an exception, which we talked about, because there was one that he was like, I don't get this part. I was like, well, I think if you look at it a different way. I said, there's truth in all of them. Yes. There's truth in all of them. And everything, every myth has truth. Every belief has a truth in it. It's the tightness and it's the amount that people attach to it where it becomes distorted from being truth to being right and in morality. And, then we're in a human level with it, right? When truth is truth, and that's at a God level, as far as like I could describe in a word, it's like, it's just, you feel it's chills in your body. It's knowing in your body, in your soma. And beliefs are, we can create an argument around them, And so to hear this from this, he's almost 11. He's 11 next week.
Of course he is.
I'm like,
11.
yeah. I'm like, these beings, they're here. They're leaders, and they're leading us forward, clearly. I've always felt that way about my children. And the future is bright. That's all I can say, because they're awake. Oh, and then he was like, so what is it? I said, well, they're awake. I said something about them being awakened beings, Magdalene and Yeshua. And he said, what does it mean to be awake? And I said, I think there's a lot of different ways you could describe that. But for me, probably the most powerful is that everything that's not love is an illusion.
Yes.
And he was like, okay. And that was kind of like where our conversation kind of ended. Like, he was like, all right, yeah. He's like, yeah, got it. So I think that's it. When we're brought into places in our belief systems, it's going to be in our mind about that bring up fear. We know that we're not fully in truth. We're somewhere caught in Maya, which is a Sanskrit word for the illusion of this reality.
Can I tell you that on the way here,
yeah,
I saw like 30 license plate. One was Maya Sky, because they're showing me through the physical world, even the illusion that we're in, that I can see all of these codes and perfect timing, all this stuff. It's that, and that only love is real. So when you talk, so before this, I have people that are connected to me that message me. If you're in my field, which means that you're talking to me, you're seeing the 22s, the rainbows, like Keira will show me who, and it's a lot of people, because they will connect to my synchronicity. I start seeing deer, they're posting deer, they start seeing the same things. It's not everyone. That doesn't mean that everyone's not involved, but the people that are part of this specific, like the energy that I am in, that are finding me through this frequency. So today I felt a fear energy, in the sense of kind of like the discussion you were having with JJ. It's in the collective. It wasn't my fear, because I don't have any fear. But what it was to ask that in this conversation, you and I, that we're going to have, the team said to ask everybody to hold the field, in the sense of setting an intention that only love is real. And so I'm literally late to this podcast, but I'm always on time, because what was asked of me was to message this collective group of people and to put it on my social media. Like, I don't care if you think I'm crazy. I am not. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't know what's going on with me, but they're like, that looks okay. Who's going to argue with me saying only love is real? And so I send it out. And when
there are people that...
You're actually right. They are. But thankfully, for the most part, they don't come into my awareness. No. My experience here is beautiful. So I don't really experience a lot of people in fear. Like, that's just not what I experienced. So when it came in this week, my team is trying to teach me about the fear that people are in around our belief systems. I'm just trying to understand so that I can help teach what I experience. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm saying that's not what I experience, because only love is real, and that we know what we have inside. And like what you have done for me is you have mirrored, when I come to you about something, you always ask me what it is about myself and what I'm seeing in myself. And so I try to do that too. I don't believe that we have to fear, but we have to collectively come to that awareness together. And so today I sent out lots of messages and said, we're going to have this conversation, Andrea and I, and please just, fear energy is trying to come in, and it can't. It's impossible. Mm-hmm. I already know that. It's not ever coming in. It is done. This conversation happened already before it happened, in the sense that and when I say it happens. That, my intention is that it's here. It's happening. And only love is real is what I just ask people, hold the field that only love is real, that fear is not real, that Andrea and I will be able to speak our truth through us without having any of that energy in it, which I knew it wasn't coming. But when I ask others to hold the field with me, they begin to understand that only love is real. They know, and they know when they listen to this, that they are part of raising this consciousness. They are part of this. And there's a massive group of people right now. I could feel them. I know you just felt them come in that are holding this field of
So
truth
beautiful.
that is already existing.
Yeah.
They are holding it. And if they don't physically know in their body that they are holding it, their higher self is holding it. Today, one of the I already kind of mentioned it, one of the guys that works here and does all this amazing, his higher self was coming in to me. And I get to come in and be like, oh, your higher self is, because this has already happened. And we have this team of beings that is trying to help us remember. That's why they told me real stories of love, connection, and remembering who we are. So we're just walking back to the truth of who we are, which is only love. Only love. And I'm still being taught. And so when you talk about doing it together, that's what I was shown right before, to ask that people do this so that we do. I can't do this alone. I can't, I can't.
No.
I can't be alone. I can, but we're all, that's just the way that it's going to happen, is this collective ushering in of the Great Awakening, the new earth, the feel good always. That's what Keira started saying the words feel good always on almost a year ago. And I didn't know what she was talking about, but I feel it. You can feel it in my words.
It's so simple. And I think simple is powerful, because it seems, I feel good always is such a perfect way to bring up the lie that we've been taught our whole lives, that in a way we don't deserve to feel good always. That's not, I don't think many people believe that they deserve it. They should, or I'm not going to tell anybody if I do, like, because then people be like, what's your problem? You need more work or something to do, because it's so ingrained that we're not supposed to. And so I think I know a lot of our suffering is self-created, because there's this part of us that's always kind of like flagellating, because, oh, I couldn't possibly be worthy of this much joy or this much, and that's the old Piscean that we've left. But it's still moving through, because it takes time. An aeon takes time to move through the body, to move through the culture, And so we're seeing it die off, and it's going to take what it takes. Some people, it's like an instant, oh yeah, like they were ready for the Aquarian age, which is together and rainbows and butterflies, and like that this transformation doesn't have to be self-sacrifice on a cross. It doesn't have to be dragged through the mud. It could be actually singing. It could be beautiful in the deepest depth of pain. Like we can also find the most beauty, and there's no way to separate them anymore. I can't separate them anymore. And it's not like, oh, I had a bad day, I had a good day, I had a really horrible, like terrible experience of loss and pain, but oh my God, like it was the most beautiful day of my life. Like I don't know how to separate them anymore, because it is the truth, like that every time we are broken open and we're crying and it brings us to our knees. Those moments are when grace comes in and it finds us and it meets us there. And it's like, thank you finally for like opening. I think that's been my experience, at least, is thank you for finally like letting me in, because I've been here the whole time, me being like the angels, the support, the community, the love. And so many of us are just like, I got it. I don't need help. I'm just going to keep going, because
proving myself.
Yeah, because to ask for help, like, it's just not okay, essentially. Like, we're supposed to all figure this out, because I'm going to be a burden. I'm going to take up too much of your time or whatever. And that it's really vulnerable for most of us to be like, hey, I could use some help here. And, I mean, it's something I'm continually learning myself, but every time I do, I get to I can feel my body letting go. My body like just softening out of that fight or flight mode of constantly being ready to run, which most people are living in a state of. And it's a difficult place to feel anything when you're in that state, because it's actually you're numb. So yeah, I love the power of the name of this movement, and the simplicity of it, because yeah, I think on the surface a lot of people would have resistance. How is that possible?
Even me, even, I mean, I
Yeah,
was feeling it. I do feel pretty good. I keep saying it over.
yeah,
I mean, doesn't mean that I don't cry,
right. It's
because
a both
even
and.
crying, I mean, today when those words from your bio, I just burst in tears, but
So
it's like
beautiful.
so beautiful what's coming through that is so beyond me. Like that feeling of like, oh my gosh, it's like beautiful and sad and everything, but it actually feels pretty okay to experience this life in this body. And it's what they're teaching me, like, experience it, be here for all of it. It is an experience, is trying to teach you something. And then this mass awakening, which, yeah, it's our true nature. And the name of the podcast, when she spelled it out, I was like, kept trying to change it.
Yeah,
She was
really?
like, the name has already been chosen. And that's because she sees the big picture. She sees the big picture and she knows, and I'm saying it right now because I'm hearing it, it's already happened. The feel good always, people don't like it because it's toxic positivity. And it actually doesn't explain what I think I might be talking about here, but it is. And I don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
I do know where it's going, but when you're starting something, it's like, well, I got to follow the rules and make it sound like so people know what it is. And
Or not.
or obviously not. I'm not following the cultural rules, because I've continuously said, is that true?
Because you're making a new culture.
Yeah, we are making a new culture, which is literally like, we don't even need books. I'm always like, I think we're going to fly.
Yeah.
It feels like that. Like when you get into this high energy, it's like,
Because we remember that. We remember that.
yeah.
Yeah. And it can be eternally frustrating. It's been eternally frustrating for me how slow things are here, how long everything takes. Because I remember being in my light body where, I could travel I still do, without this body kind of slowing me down. But that's my journey, is like learning how amazing it is too. Because in the light body, what we can't do is feel.
Yeah.
We can't really feel and connect at the level that humans can.
So we should be grateful.
Well, I don't like should, but like,
I feel like that's kind of what you helped me see through just talking. You weren't trying to, my teachers are everywhere. The world is constantly teaching me. When I was in pretty deep grief and I would see someone just being like, isn't it amazing to be in a body? And so experiencing my deepest pain on my yoga mat or anywhere,
yeah,
in sitting in meditation after my child literally is not walking back through the door, to feel what that feels like in this body. I have been asked to feel in a way that's just, but it's just opened me up to like, yeah, the massive amount of light that I can feel that puts us in this other level that is pretty feel good always. And I don't know what each person that's listening is getting from all of this, but it is a frequency. These words are a frequency. It's why when people listen to the podcast, they see 222, or they see the ladybugs, or the X's are coming in right now, lots of X's in the sky. Everybody asks me, well, what does it mean? And it's like, well, what does it mean to you? I don't use Google to find out what things mean unless I get directed to look, because it's always about what it means to us, because we're all having our own really beautiful experience here. I want to
I would say it means you're paying attention.
Yeah, it means you're paying attention, or you're just being shown stuff and you're asking. So You do a lot of stuff. And we've talked about so much here today, and I'm sure you'll be back.
I would love to be. I mean, I don't go away.
Yeah,
I'm one of those eternal pains in the ass.
You're always with me. And I'm so grateful for our experience together that I have somebody that is, that I could call and say, this is what's happening. And we kind of process, and we don't worry about it. We came into this conversation. I did know Josiah was coming in. That's it. I don't know what else, but I trust and believe that truth will come out and only love is real. That is what, that's it. It's so simple. And that we were brought together at this time to usher in this energy of truth that was what we always had possible in these human bodies. And
thank God.
Yeah, thank you. I'm thankful for the opportunity. I see the bigger picture, and I know that you run a couple yoga studios locally, but you're just like, okay, what am I doing here? It's like we don't know. And you do sacred travel, and you have your coaching. You do all.
I just made a vow years ago to just follow spirit and the call of spirit to tell me where to go, essentially what you're doing. And it's brought me to many, are you serious? Like, how is this going to all work out? Because in the end, like, I get worried about money and time and my children, just like everybody else. But that's the narrow path it is. But it's also the only one that I'll be walking for the rest of my life. And because there's no turning back. Once you get to a certain point, and once you see, you can't unsee the truth and go back to sleep. So I'm all in on this journey, and it's so beautiful. It just keeps getting more amazing and more beautiful, and I keep letting go more, and they go together.
And we got sent each other. I want to read what Keira said. It is 12:22. So 12:22, of course I pick up my phone. This is what happens. And all
day we text each other back and forth about all of this because it's so wow. It's just so wow. And my passion has long been, I used to say, I still do. I'll still say it, but my tagline for Envision, which is my coaching and women's work, is weaving magic into the mundane, because you don't have to go to Egypt to experience magic and synchronicities. You can experience it everywhere. Going to those sites will have a massive impact on you. Anyway, it's a super dose of what's like a micro on the everyday.
So I say, because I experience a massive everywhere I go at this point, it doesn't matter where I go. And so what I say is, like, when I go to Costa Rica or Sedona, like, I experience the same amount of energy in all of those places now, but it helps you to remember the truth of what is possible. And like you said, you feel the energy now. I mean, actually here in town, I'm like,
there's certain places I just it's like retracing my steps where my soul's been before, and so it's a remembrance. I get the remembrance piece when I go certain places, for sure. That's different. It's a familiar frequency, but yeah, it's constant now, and it's available to all of us, and I just want to share that with people and help them. Like, it's almost give permission, like, yeah, what you're seeing is true. And it's not like I don't know anything more than you do. You know what you know. I'm just here to remind you that you know what you know. And so that's mostly what I do.
So I'm going to read this whole thing, even though I, as Becky Bradley, don't really want to. But this is how it works.
I love that.
Because they show me that I'm supposed to, because literally in here, so this is from the board. It's from almost a year ago when we start talking. It's me talking to Keira, and on here I specifically ask about 12:22. So when I picked up my phone, it was 12:22. So that is how I know
supposed to read
that I'm supposed to read the whole thing, even though people might not understand. Okay?
Perfect.
So I'm going to read it. I know you understand.
I'm
just saying it to the people that are listening. Okay. Let's see. So I asked, can you tell me if there is a relationship with me and Andrea? And then the answer was, Dre is calling people to God. She is a light worker. She is a person who we can communicate with. And then Keira goes on to say, don't you need to talk to Andrea about her star family? So when she says this to me, I have no idea about your star family, but she says this to me. I said, okay, Keira, are you asking, do I need to talk to her about her star family? Keira says, yes. I said, I'm just curious what this has to do with you. Can you tell me what this has to do with you? Keira says, yes. I said, okay, tell me. What does it have to do with you? And then I said, it's 12:22, by the way. And then she responds and says, and this is all being spelled out on the board, God is helping her through me. And I said, so what are you doing with Andrea? Keira says, I am talking to her. She is listening. Andrea goes to so many good places. She is needed to help us. God gives her you to be with. Yeah. And then she says, God gives her me to help. So she's, it's like we were given each other. She's telling us. We don't actually know the extent of what these words are till later, but whew, I feel it. Souls need your help. I said, are you talking about Andrea and me? Yes. Is there anybody else that you are talking about or anything else you want to say? Keira says, yes. Okay, is there another message for Andrea and me, or is this message for Andrea? She says, yes. I say, okay, what else? And here's what she said, which actually fully ties into what we're saying today. This is why time's not real. And I don't know this ahead of time when they had me copy and paste this into my notes this morning. This is what they wanted me to share. She says, everyone feels scared of this, but God is helping you. God is helping you so you can help them. And I said, are you talking about everyone is currently scared? She said, yes. I said, what are they afraid of? I don't feel like I'm scared. I don't feel like Andrea is scared. What are they afraid of? And she said, so much fear, and you are taking them to God. They will need you, and you are going to be helping them understand what is happening. We need you to help people understand what is happening when the change comes. How can I help them understand what is happening when the change comes? How will I be able to help them understand what is happening when the change comes? And then she goes on. So all of that is there. Whatever anybody needed to get from that powerful, powerful words. And I have hundreds of pages of that kind of stuff. But she showed me you, not only physically, but through the words. And then it unfolded after that we can see the truth. That, you have tears. It's just powerful, powerful stuff that we are being asked to do. And there's this powerful field that is being held for us so that we could bring this truth onto the earth. I'm grateful. I mean, it was always going to happen. And my soul knew, and I know it is done. I say it all the time. It is done.
They showed me that a while ago.
We did it.
Done.
Our future selves are coming. We are just walking. They say like walking us home. We're walking us home. So I want to end with a couple things. I at the end usually ask, and you've shared a lot of wonderful things. If for people that are listening, if you've talked about sacred travel, and you've talked about, sitting in the pain and being able to just fully experience it. You've talked about it a lot, but if you had to give anybody, some words of wisdom, I know you do this all the time in your classes, but what would you say?
I mean, I have the students give words of wisdom because they're also amazing.
I love that. You're saying, you tell me.
Yeah.
Because we already know, but you go ahead, because now I'm asking you.
Yeah. So keep going. Just keep going. Again and again, I live in faith, and when I was in France less than a week ago, right at the end of this pilgrimage, I was brought to a place of haven't felt in a while, which was like, I don't know how I'm ever going to clear this particular experience. It felt like the thing that's been in the way, like the stain you can't get out. And all I've ever done when I started to get communication from other galaxies, when all I do is ask with the purest heart. It's like this heart of a child that is like, please show me what I can't see. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to see it. And not when we want to, not on our timeline, on God's timeline. We are shown, we are given the exact people that we need around us. We're given the exact experiences that we need to have. We've agreed to all of it. And we just have to find a way to show up and do the best we can to lean in, because we can't do it alone. I'm someone who, I preach that message, and it's because I've tried to do it alone. I still do. And in that moment in France, I was still trying to do it alone. I was like, I don't want anyone's help with this one, you know? And in the end, it was a dear sister who cracked me open enough with her question to let in grace, which all transpired over the matter of a day, and it lifted. It was taken from me. It was taken. It was like, you don't have to figure this out and wrestle with this anymore. Actually, there's nothing to be done. You just needed to offer it up. You needed to really open up enough, just enough, so that we could come in and take it from you. And that is, it's the miracle energy. It's the miracle of what I'm obsessed with and what I see. I just look out in my classes and I see people showing up day after day after day with whatever it is in their hearts that feels impossible, of like where they want to go. They might not even know consciously, like that's why they're there, but I feel it. There's something, you know, and the vulnerability of that. And I felt that. It was like I kept getting this vision of my 7-year-old self. I kind of feel her today with this dress, walking up in my first communion dress and kind of like kneeling down and, you know, in a way, asking to be worthy of this divine communion. The message I want to share is every single one of us is worthy. We've always been. We're never not worthy, no matter what's happened to you. What people do to you is not yours. You don't have to take it on. And that's what they really showed me this time. They're like, this isn't you. This is something that came into your field. Someone didn't know how to hold your light. Many people, they don't know what they're doing. It's that whole like, forgive them, Lord, they do not know what they're doing. It's true. They don't. They're in their own pain and unconscious and looking for. And so it was just really simple. Like, give it back. Give it back. It's not yours. And that's my prayer for everybody. Whatever's happened, we've all experienced some level of trauma or some level of feeling othered, or like some kind of stain on our feeling of like, this white dress is no longer white, right? There's something that I have to hide. And that's the thing that has us block connection, us hiding, just keeping it out, you know. But the truth is, we can't actually hide from each other. We're all able to see each other, like some more than others, I guess. But so it's funny because we all will try, but you can't. And what you're losing out on is actually living. Yeah. So I say, whatever that thing is, it's like, fine, just keep showing up to the places, you know, people, experiences that are helping you crack into, you know, some of that ice that you might have built around your heart. And eventually it's going to lift. Eventually, you don't know when. It could be instant, it could be years. And that's the living in faith, is like, I know
it's possible.
It's going to happen at some point. And there is nothing more powerful than that, because it absolutely has no way not to once you are fully behind it. And so, yeah, I think that's what they want me to say about that.
That's beautiful. And the last thing, you've already said it, but if you want to, whatever needs to come through about feel good always, what it means to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Feel good always is something, actually, I said to my son Wyatt this morning about, there's been a couple of things that have happened around integrity. And he's learning this, you know. And so I think feeling good always is showing up as fully as you can in yourself to everywhere you go, is where you're not hiding, right? A part of you. That's, to me, feeling good. Like, I can just be Andrea wherever I go, and I can bring these parts of myself forward. And yeah, it's pretty simple.
So simple. We like to
be here
for the experience. And we're moving into this higher state of being able to be here. And I'm a miracle, like what you talked about.
You are.
I believed it was true. that I could take the worst. I believed it. My soul was telling me, no, your life's not over and it's not ruined. You're actually going to be just fine, which was wild. It didn't make sense. I am a miracle. Anything is possible. Anything is possible.
It is.
Yeah, and it's not just the time healed. Anything is possible. So I love you so much.
Thank
you for spending all this time with me.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you for listening. Onward.
We'll
upward.
see what like the rest of this year has in store. It's been a while.
We're gonna stay here. Who knows? But
Yeah.
I think it's fun just to be here.
It's amazing.
And whatever's coming, and only love is real. So tune in next time.